In Algebra 1, Section 9.2, we're starting with square roots. Now you've seen square roots and you're able to do them in calculators. Now we're going to work with them more closely. Alright? So basically, the root of square root, the definition, is that if I have b squared and it equals this number a, then b is a square root of a. Okay, that means the square root would be two numbers when multiplied together get you a. Okay? So for example, 3 squared equals 9. So the square root of 9 would be 3. Okay? What that means is if I were to take this and I were to do square root of 9, same thing as saying 3 times 3. Well, that means it's 3 squared, and this cancels out, giving me just 3. Alright? But the same thing can also say by negative. Negative 3 times negative 3 is still 9 because the negatives cancel out and give you 9. So the answer is a square root of negative 3. So there's two answers. The square root of 9 can either be 3 or negative 3. Right? So here's the thing. If the answer, okay, gives you square root of 25, all you need to worry about is the positive 5. Okay? If they tell you the negative square root of 25, your answer is going to be negative 5. If they tell you, if they put a plus and minus, that means they want all the answers. So it would be 5 and negative 5. See the difference? So positive, just leave it as 5. Negative, okay, they want the negative version. If they put a plus and a negative in front of it, they want both answers. And that's how we're going to write it, and that's how your book is going to read it. So let's go ahead and try. Okay, write this down. We have one more board. Alright, so for example, the square root of 81 is the same thing as saying square root of 9 times 9. But it'd also be square root of negative 9 times negative 9. But because there's no number and it's just a positive square root 81, I'm going to go ahead and state that 9 times 9, okay, this means that 9, positive 9 is my answer. Okay? The next one has a negative number, so it's the same as this one, but my answer is going to be a negative 9. This one wants both my answers, so I'm going to have a 9 and a negative 9. Right? So the square root of 8, now this requires you to have a scientific calculator, so my calculators in the class are not going to work as well. If you don't have one, you need to get one. So you need to find the square root of 8, so you're going to we're going to square root it, which is the same thing. I'm going to use like 2 decimal places, so it would be 2.828. This tells me to round it up, so I end up with 2.83. Okay? Now, they're not always just going to give you straightforward. Sometimes they'll give you an equation to plug it in. So let's look at this one. My b is 3. So 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 2, and c, which is 2. Which means the square root of 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, negative 4 times negative 2 gives me positive 8. And positive 8 times 2 is positive 16, right? 9 plus 16 gives me the square root of 25. And since it's only the positive answer on the outside, my answer is 5. Right? So once more, this 16 came from negative 4 times negative 2, which is positive 8 times positive 2. So instead of a negative, this, because I end up with a positive number, it's going to be plus 16. Right? This next one doesn't have a square root over the whole thing, just one, so I'm going to focus on that square root first. Okay? 5 times the square root of 2. So 2 square root would be 1.41, right, over 8. Okay? Times 5, which gives me 4 plus or minus 7.1 over 8. Now here's the case. There are 2 answers in here because it doesn't tell me to add or subtract 4 from 7.1. It tells me to do both. So I have 2 answers represented. The first answer, okay, is going to be 4 plus 7.1 over 8. The second answer is going to be the bottom one, 4 minus 7.1 over 8. Right? That's how I deal with this. It gives me 2 answers. So, 4 plus 7.1 is 11.1 divided by 8, which gives me 1.39. That's my first answer. And then 4 minus 7.1 would give me a negative, divided by 8, which would be negative 0.39. Okay, so 2 answers on this one because that plus or minus is there. So it'd be 1.39 when I add the top, and then negative 0.39 when I subtract the top. So go ahead and write this down. Try page 502 numbers 4, 6, and 14. Page 502 number 4, 6, and 14, and I will see you in class.